In a world where borders seem to be hardening and minds closing, it's worth reminding ourselves that education has always been one of these great exceptions. It crosses boundaries, it transcends ideologies, and when properly nurtured, it sows long-term alliances rooted not in ideology, but or in trade, but in respect and curiosity. So we should be frank. The opportunity to attract students from the United States, both American students, indigenous students, and international students fleeing the chaos of Trump's anti-intellectual crusade, is not just a good idea, it should be second nature. And new data from study portals shows a 6% rise in students looking to the UK while browsing US degrees. And UCAS confirms that a record 6,680 US applicants for British undergraduate courses, the highest since records began, is now in the works. The catalyst? Donald Trump's second term, with its bans, its vettings, its vendettas against diversity, equity, and academic freedom. And if Trump is America's educational self-sabotage, we must not be Britain's. It's a once-in-a-generation moment. Students are fleeing a discredited American higher education system, seeking intellectual sanctuary elsewhere, and the UK has the academic quality, the language advantage, and until recently, the openness to lead. But just as the opportunity arises, our own government appears determined to shut the gates. New Labour visa rules cut post-study work from 2 years to 18 months. There's talk of a levy on foreign students, and most absurdly of all, we still count students in the net migration figures as if a future Nobel laureate were the same as a fruit picker overstaying their visa. We can put it plainly. Students are not migrants in any conventional sense. They are temporary residents, economic assets, and long-term ambassadors for Britain. They contribute an estimated £42 billion annually to our economy. That's and even more in soft power. Every Fulbright scholar who drinks in a Durham pub or writes essays on John Stuart Mill is a walking, talking vote of confidence in British values, and they will remember how we welcomed them or how we didn't. And yet, the legacy of Theresa May's hostile environment continues to hang over this country like a bad smell in an old office. It was a policy built on suspicion, on cruelty, and deeply flawed logic that international students are somehow a threat. In truth, we've treated them less like guests and more like cash cows, milked, monitored, and sometimes deported. In the knowledge that if we deport a student, they'll be back in a year or so because they've got to finish the degree that they've already paid for, and that undoubtedly the university is still charging. We must reverse this thinking, not only for economic reasons, though they are persuasive, but because a country that closes its mind to learners has lost its moral compass. We need to be more ambitious, open our universities, scrap the student migration count, restore generous post-study work visas, and send a message to the world that Britain is still a place where minds can grow. Consider the global backdrop. In the first quarter of this year, American interest in their own universities dropped by 20%. The Irish saw a 63% increase in US-based interest. Sweden, Switzerland, and Spain are rising too. In other words, if we don't act, others will. Our historic advantage in higher education, Oxbridge, the Russell Group, the British Council, risks erosion. Trump's America is doing our recruitment work for us, but if we lace our welcome with bureaucracy, suspicion, and financial penalties, we will squander this opportunity overnight. Already universities are facing more than £1 billion in cuts, and there's talks of industrial action. International student fees are not luxuries. They keep labs running, they keep libraries stocked, and scholarships funded. And to those in Westminster, this is what I would say. If you want growth, invest in global minds. If you want credibility, stop counting students as migrants. If you want success, if you want growth, invest in global minds. And if you want to restore Britain's global standing, do it not with weapons or trade pacts, but with visas, lectures, and libraries. And to the students in America and beyond, this is what I would say. Welcome, not just because you pay fees, but because you believe in knowledge. We're not frightened of your views, your languages, your questions. Quite the opposite. We need those views and that stimulation. To Sadiq Khan, to David Willits and others who've raised their voices, thanks. You understand what too many ministers seem to have forgotten, what the Home Office seems to have forgotten, that universities are not businesses nor immigration loopholes, but cathedrals of the mind. We need to stop asking whether international students should come and start asking how many more can we make feel at home, how many more can we accommodate, how many more can we entertain, how many more opportunities do we have?